are the positive outcomes of the current pandemic?
Well, the more we experience difficulty in our lives, the more we also become very clear about what's important to ourselves. So no human being wants to suffer. And when we suffer, we're often forced to look at our lives more clearly. Most people in the beginning of a process of suffering try avoidance techniques. They don't want to see it. They just want it to go away. But if the situation doesn't go away, it eventually encourages them to learn and to consciously engage it. So this experience right now, this pandemic, there's a lot of suffering involved. We're being told what we can and cannot do, where we can go, what we're allowed to wear, for example. There's a lot of things being forced upon us that people don't really like, and that's helping us to reevaluate our own lives. We're being told, to be around our family more because you can't leave your home. So that's helping us to reevaluate our relationships with our family and how we're being with each other. We're also spending more time with ourselves. We're learning about who we are. We're learning about how our mind and our emotions work. So even though there's a lot of restriction right now and a lot of suffering in this world right now, all of it is helping us to become very clear about what's more important, about what we want. There's going to be a shift in this experience as more people become empowered as creators. Right? Because if we continue to give our power away, we're just going to continue walking down that road of personal suffering. Right? And so the more we go into suffering, the more we wake up. Why? Because we're constantly experiencing things that we don't want to experience. Now, a lot of people on the spiritual path, they're doing fine during the COVID experience because they've already integrated these higher states of wisdom and knowledge and peace and love. They're fine being around their family because they have good relationships with their family. They're fine being with themselves because they have peace and they have happiness. They know how to work within their mind. But for those human beings who are struggling more with the relationship with themselves and the relationship with each other, this is a wonderful opportunity to really learn about it. Because you can't avoid your family if you're being made to stay home with all of them. You can't avoid your own mind if you're told you can't distract yourself in the external world with all these things anymore. So this is a time where we're really looking at ourselves and looking at our lives because the external world is highly restricted from us. This is serving our awakening. It really is for so many ways. One, as I said, we're looking at ourselves, but in addition to that, we're looking at the energy of fear. And we're looking at what fear does. I've said this in one of my recent channelings. There's two experiences happening with the COVID right now. One is the actual virus, and the other is the information about the virus. There's what human beings are thinking and speaking about the virus and the actions they're taking because of this information. And then there's what the virus is doing to the physical body and what we're doing to combat the virus. So all of these social restrictions and all these behavioral restrictions, right? That's not because of the virus, right? The virus will cause your body to get sick if you get it, right? And the body will fight the virus and overcome it, right? But this other part about all the social things, that's the information. And that's where we're going to learn about the fear. It's not the virus that's teaching us about fear. The virus is teaching us about illness and health in the body. So we're learning how to live healthier lives, right? But everything else is about the mind and about the power we have as human beings. Because there's a number of ways to handle the situation. And social isolation is just one proposed method that a lot of human beings agreed with and made it a policy in many countries. But that's just one way to deal with it. There could be many ways. For example, if we knew that there was a virus spreading and we knew that the immune system has to be really strong to combat the virus, we would be advised as a community, as a country, to do all the healthiest things we can do to make ourselves strong to defeat the virus. So we're going to lower the amount of work that we have to do every week, and we're going to increase the amount of vacation time, because everybody loves vacation, right? We're going to increase the quality of the food. We're going to increase the quality of the air. Maybe we're going to limit transportation in order to increase the quality of the air. Maybe there's going to be funding to companies to learn how to purify air and purify water and grow greater food. Maybe we're going to encourage exercise programs. In America, they removed exercise from schools. Maybe we're going to say exercise has been proven to boost the immunity. We have to get those programs back into the schools. We have to allow for more time doing things that improve the quality of life. That would have been an approach that I would have recommended.
Yeah.
Instead of reacting with fear to the virus, we can react with intelligence and a cooperative experience. How can the virus help me to create a better quality of life? But instead, what mankind has done is become afraid of the virus and created a lower quality of life. Ultimately, social isolation is a fear-based tactic. It's avoidance. Get away from me, I don't want you. But it doesn't necessarily help you overcome the problem. The way to overcome the problem of a virus is to improve the health of the human body. And that's how the body becomes immune to the virus.
Exactly.
So we have to really look at how we're thinking, because that's where the lessons for the souls are. How are we interpreting this physical experience? Because there's been viruses in the world for as long as we can remember. And there's been very strong viruses. There's been extremely strong viruses like polio, right? Happened long ago. Right? So a virus of great strength is not anything new. Often these organizations are going to make it sound new, and they're going to try to make it be bigger than it ever was, but that is only to get their information to be heard. Because if we actually look at what the virus is doing, it's not stronger than polio. Polio virus was much stronger than the current coronavirus. Right? If we look at what it actually does in the body. Now, of course, we're going to have to go deeper in with some research and see the difference between getting a flu that lasts about 2 weeks and getting a flu or a virus that actually destroys the development of the physical body like polio did. Right? So we look at what it actually does. We have to separate out the actual treatment and what the treatment does to the human being and what the virus does to the human being. Because some of the experiences that people are having are because of the medical treatments they received. It's not because of what the virus does.
Exactly.
I personally know people who've had this virus and they treated themselves at home, and it was very difficult. It was challenging. They had to rest for a week or 2 weeks, but then they came out of it and their body's okay. And I know other ones who went into medical treatments and they faced the virus, which was difficult, but then they also faced all the difficulty of the medical treatments, including the stress and the anxiety of being isolated and having tubes and everything else poked into you and having air forced into your lungs. So there's a difference between the information about the coronavirus and then, or the COVID virus, and then also the actual virus itself. And if we can look at things a little more precisely, we can really understand the freedom we have to create more happiness and to really evolve through this experience. So there's emotional lessons, there's interpersonal lessons, there's also lessons upon how we're living in the world. Are we creating health in this world? And can we use this virus to let ourselves become healthier as human beings, become friendlier to each other, treat our planet better, treat our food supply better? Can we do all these things knowing there's a threat to our health to actually increase our health? And that's what's really not being addressed in the modern day world. We're not thinking about increasing health, we're thinking about fear of getting sick. And if we live in fear, we're weakening our immune system and people are going to continue to get ill. It's just the simple laws of vibration. So how we think about life is really being shown to us in a really big picture way. We can start to look at our thoughts, look at our actions, and decide what's really going to take us into these greater states of happiness.
Absolutely. It's a choice. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.